from that point of view, what we need to know is very, very important. All of us have stress. I'm sure there's nobody in this room never had a stress, but many of us do handle it properly. But there may be somebody who has difficulty in handling stress. And to talk on this topic, we have none other than Dr. C.P. Bansal, sir. Dr. Bansal is a good friend of mine, and it's a pleasure to introduce him. He has been practicing pediatrics and adolescent medicine for more than 40 years now. He has been actively involved with more than 500 national child health-related programs. He is a past national president of the Indian Academy of Pediatrics during the Golden Jubilee year, a real credit indeed, that is in 2013, and he was installed by none other than Sri APJ Abdul Kalam. He was a founder president of South Asia Pediatric Association in 2014, and he was a president in 2016. He was installed by the Health Minister of Bangladesh, a past national chairperson of various subspecialty chapters, IAP Advisory Committee for Vaccines and Immunization Practices, Computer and Informatics, and of course, Adolescent Health Academy of IAP. He was the honorary secretary for 4 years and later the chairperson for 4 years, a real innings indeed. He's a member of various national international committees, and at present, he's a national chairman of IAP NRP, a member of Adolescent Strategic Advisory Group, National Pediatric Association. What he is remembered for, as was mentioned earlier also, is the IAP Mission Uday and IAP MKU, Mission Kishore Uday. That has really made a large impact on the whole of the country, and that is his brainchild. In addition, he has taken various other programs also. He has founded and served as editor-in-chief of Adolescent Today for 10 years. And he launched the IAP commemorative postal stamp during his Golden Jubilee year and the IAP flag. And the first roundtable of SAC was organized by none other than Dr. C.P. Bansal. A great pleasure to welcome my good friend, Dr. C.P. Bansal. Over to you, sir. We're all waiting to hear you.
Thank you so much, dear sir, for such lovely words. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
How to start and what to say? Kerala is always so close to my heart. I visited Kerala in probably first time in 2003 to go for an undergraduate, postgraduate counseling program under teacher of teachers, Professor M.K.C. Nair, sir. And then in 2009, I went for PGDAP course again to Trivandrum under Professor M.K.C. Nair, sir. So all my teachings and trainings in adolescent, I owe it to Kerala. And speaking on a topic on adolescent care itself in Kerala is a matter of great pride and privilege for me, and I feel little nervous in doing so. The second thing is Dr. Sachi is so close to me, my heart. I'll say that more than a brother or a friend. So it's really an honor and emotional thing to be there with Sachi in his estate. Dr. Shaji Thomas, Dr. Jay Kumar, Dr. Josh, Dr. Vishnu. I can name many of you because, as I said, it's always a pleasure and pride for me to be in Kerala. It's so close in so many ways. Dr. Jason is not here. I'm also thrilled and extremely thankful for the vibrant presence of my mentor and my elder brother, Dr. Tuteja sir, Dr. Chavla sir, Dr. Garg sir, Dr. Banga sir, and so many of stalwarts of adolescent are here. I am really extremely delighted, obliged, and bow in front of you with all my humility. And may I share my screen, sirs, with your kind presence? My sincerest regards to all the office bearers of just a moment. So, at the outset, let me thank Dr. Deepa and your entire team and of the office bearers of Kozhikode and Kerala, Dr. Ajit Kumar, Dr. Ranjit, the chairperson of AHA Kerala, Dr. Josh, my younger brother and so close and vibrant person, Dr. Shimi, Dr. Vijay Kumar, Dr. Venkateshwaran, Dr. Ashraf, Dr. Krish Mohan, and Dr. Deepa herself. She had been after me since last so many weeks and made sure that I am here today. I'm extremely grateful to you all for permitting me to speak on something which is really close to my heart, that is adolescent stress. I usually say, and we all say and know, that adolescence is a period of storm and stress. So my first duty will be to say a couple of words that why we say so, and as we unfold, we will realize that it is not only just a saying, but it is really true as well. So outline, I'll be discussing with the scope of the problem, then what exactly adolescent stress is, what is peculiar of adolescent stress, how can it be managed nicely and productively, and sources of support for pediatricians and adolescents. We all know that studies related to India, they are relatively less. Something slide is not moving. But howsoever in America, like American Institute of Stress Academy, American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, or Anxiety and Depression Association of America, they have all come out with so many studies and researches that they document that 80% of students feel and report that they are stressed, 80%. And out of that, 34% felt depression. It is really too much. Not only this slide again highlights 2-3 important points. One, that any stress which is there in adolescent ranks 5.8 out of 10. That is, it is heightened. However, the adults say that stress 3.8, it is relatively lesser. And why so? Because as rightly been said, that adolescence is a period of rapid social, emotional, and cognitive development. And what is stress? It is a reaction to a change. So adolescent phase itself is a phase of such rapid changes. Therefore, stress bound to be there. And it is not surprising that 45 to 80% of teens describe themselves that they always feel stressed. But unfortunate part is that they hook on to online resources rather than going for medical trained personnel to be of any help to them, or they go on for various apps. Now, in India, their studies are very few, but this was a study which was published in 2017 and was done in Chandigarh under 9 to 12 class students and randomly selected 10 government schools. And they found that the stress is almost to the tune of 47.2%. So it is not there in West only, we also have it. So much so, look at this survey. It was done in 2018, and this says that 95% of Indian millennials, that is between the age of 18 to 35%, or 9 out of 10, they are stressed, while the global rate is 86%. So India is not lagging behind in terms of stress. We are really stressed. And this again says, this study published last year only says that adolescent stress is really on the hike. It is rising very sharply. And why not? There are so many stresses for adolescents, so many stresses. And these all stresses were beautifully covered in a chart by Dr. Madam Bhave when in last year, President's IAP program, which Dr. Kamath and Dr. Ramesh has come up, treatment protocol guidelines, in which Madam Bhave has done this chart. And she has beautifully combined all the stressors for adolescent, be it impact of media or society, medical, sexuality issues, family, school, colleges. So they all are there. Now, what is stress? There is no typical definition of stress, but this NIH definition, which Dr. Shadi initially has said that it is a physical and emotional reaction which we experience as we encountered any challenge. I think this definition is really impressive and covers all aspects of stress. WHO manual has also defined stress means feeling troubled or threatened by life. This is very common, and for layman language, we can understand that stress is something when you feel troubled or threatened by life, what you feel is your stress. However, occasional stress we know is a normal coping mechanism. We all feel it day in and day out, and it goes off by its own. But long-term stress or chronic stress may contribute to or worsen a range of physical and mental problems. And there is no portion or system of the body which is not affected by the stress. And what exactly happens in stress? Look, whenever there is a stressor on prefrontal cortex, then this anterior pituitary is stimulated by CRH cells, and which in turn releases ACTH, and which acts on adrenal to release corticosteroids. And when these corticosteroids are released or increased in the blood, then we get a fight or flight response. When the stressors is over or we are relaxed, a negative feedback in the same way goes, and we again come down to a baseline. This is normally what happens. But what is the change in this mechanism in adolescent age? Let us see that, which is really important. When we talk about ACTH, see this dotted line is the response in adolescent. You can very well see that it is prolonged and higher, both ACTH and corticosteroid. They are prolonged and higher. Therefore, their response is more in adolescent. And therefore, the stress is heightened in adolescents. Not only this, the neuronal activity in paraventricular nucleus, that is CRH cell, is also higher. So this activity is higher, therefore this secretion of these hormones is higher. Not only this, as we all know that the frontal brain and entire limbic system, the amygdala and the limbic system, they are not fully developed or mature. And therefore, our risk-taking, impulsive, and poor cognition is there. This results further augments the stress response. Thus, when we say the physiology of adolescent stress, due to immature prefrontal cortex, amygdala, and limbic system, brain is more responsive, higher level of ACTH and cortisol. All these are responsible for adolescents to have a heightened response of any stress. Now, what is acute stress, chronic stress, and anxiety? Acute stress is something which comes in and goes off, like exam stress. We face the exam, we give it, exam is over, stress is over. But chronic stress is something which continues. It is a continuous situation where we are, the stresses is continuous. Like we don't like the atmosphere of college, or we don't like the atmosphere of home or our workplace or studies, then that stressor is continued. We don't like a particular person, but we can't avoid his company due to many reasons. Then it is a source of chronic stressor, and that affects every part of our body. That is chronic stress. Anxiety is a common mental reaction to stress. Understand this, it is not stress per se, it is a mental reaction to the stress. And many times stress is not there, but anxiety is there. And therefore, anxiety disorders, most common is depression, suicidal thoughts. anger, arguments. So this all are further due to anxiety. Now, how can you recognize the signs of stress? If you see that a person who had good relations or very good in relationships suddenly start conflicts at home, family or school or teachers, peers, he fights with everybody, then there is definitely some stress should be considered and we should investigate it. If a person who is sweet suddenly withdraws, becomes non-communicative, becomes irritable, outbursts, becomes argumentative, if you feel that there are certain changes in the personality of a boy or a student, feel that this could be because of stress. Neglecting responsibilities, who forget obligations, starts delaying, avoiding a particular situation. The scholastic grades, they start deteriorating or feels less interest in studies. Sleep issues, if a child you feel that his quantity of sleep is disturbed, quality is disturbed, whether he sleeps too long or too little, so he feels tired always, then think of underlying stress. Changes in eating habits, eating too much or eating too less, binge eating, excessive junk foods, caffeine, all those things, they definitely reflect stress. Getting sick more often. If a boy in the school, you feel that he is visiting the sick room very frequently or visiting the doctor very frequently, think that he is might be just a stress reaction. We all know that pain in abdomen due to stress or many other feelings which child complains day in and day out in our OPDs. Addiction could also be there of tobacco, alcohol, or other drugs. And this adversely affect almost every system of the body. Child feels headache, neck and shoulder pain. You do not feel hungry. You feel lump in throat, heaviness in chest, back pain, upset stomach. For before going to exam or before traveling, you start vomiting or pain in abdomen. They are all reactions of stress. Even the skin rash, infections, decreased immunity have also been associated with the stress. This is a very old inverted U hypothesis, which says that as you increase the stress, the performance also increases till we reach to a zone of optimum performance. If the stress continues, it becomes the performance start decreasing, and thus we call it as distress. While this is good stress or U stress, our aim always is to convert distress into U stress. And this can only be achieved by stress management techniques. And what are they? They are persons become addictive to alcohol, tobacco, internet use, internet gaming or gaming addiction, drugs, or try not to think about those stressors, start avoiding people, places or situations also. Person try to become the student, try to isolate himself or stays in bed, as we have seen, becomes very argumentative, blaming others and criticizing others as well. So all these we call it as unproductive ways of dealing with stress. We do agree that sometimes these may successfully help you temporarily to control your your stress, but you will agree with me that most of them pull you away from your values, and values, we will come to it, that they are basically the person you like to be, like you like to be a good caring person, but these ways drive you away from your values. Therefore they are called as unproductive ways of handling stress. So how do I control the stress productively or nicely? Is there any button so that we can reset the stress and come to our baseline again? Yes, there are techniques by which you can do so, but believe me, there is no drug to cure stress. Only you can cure your own stress by doing so many things. The chronic stress, you all know that increases heart rate, breathing, blood pressure, all these things are there. But when the relaxation response comes, it comes down to the baseline. And NIH has very clearly said that The ways to reset this are slow and deep breathing or breathing exercises, progressive muscle reaction, and mindfulness. And they say that doing all this, which hardly takes any time, you can definitely control your stress, you can lead a better sleep, and thus you can become more productive. So these are the ways how you can manage your stress. I will be focusing mainly today on stress management tools for adolescents. And this is a WHO book which has come out for adolescent management, and it combines all these aspects of mindfulness, relaxation techniques, or muscle relaxation. You should also lead to a healthy life and role of caregivers. We will also have a slide for that, various relaxation techniques, and what are the available resources for us. So in this book, it is beautifully described 5 tools for adults stress management: grounding, unhooking, acting on values, being kind, and making room. Let us see what are they. It sounds a little difficult, but they are extremely important. And I tell you guys that if we practice them ourselves, it will be of great help. And if we teach to our children, it will be fantastic. And this will just take a couple of minutes daily and they can do this. Let us see what exactly stress is. You all will agree with me that what is stress? The difficult thoughts and feelings are just stress. Any difficult thought and feeling which is there could be a cause of stress. And we all have difficult thoughts and feelings, which are a natural part in our day in and day life. But think what exactly happened. When these feelings are there, we usually get engaged in something. Ghar pe, in house or in anywhere we might be having some stress, we get on to our work, we get engaged in our work and seeing patients, and we forget that stress. We might be having some fight with someone, but when we start focusing on the patient, and we just forget it. Same is true that whenever you get the difficult thoughts and feelings, you just try to focus on other things, and that will help us. But what if you are hooked by it? What I mean by hooked by it, then the problem arises. Then what happens that you cannot focus yourself. If the difficult feelings are really strong and powerful, like a storm, and therefore we say that it is a phase of stress and storm. If not like a storm, then it affects your life. You cannot focus, you get angry, you cannot sit still, you have difficulty in sleeping, you get very tired, cry, worry, sad, and it changes your appetite, and all these things appear. So that spoils your day and spoils your life. Then you really want to do something, and you really want to come out of it. And for coming out of it, the first tool which is important, what exactly happens when these thoughts affect you, then you start blaming others. Like, he should not have done this, because these thoughts, you are not able to come out of them, so they affect you adversely. It was his fault. You start making harsh judgment about ourselves. I give up. It's all too hard for me. Memories about difficult events start coming. This has happened to me. This will always happen to me. I can't avoid it. My future is dark. I am a bad lucky person. Nothing will happen to me. Thoughts where we worry about others. Is she okay? Where is she now? And when we are hooked by these thoughts, we move away from our values. Values, the person we would like to be, like kind, or any value which we can set for ourselves, we are driven away from them. We will come to it soon. So when we get hooked, then our behavior changes. We start doing things which make our lives worse. Like, we start getting into fights, into arguments, into disagreements. We are staying away from the people, spending a lot of time into bed. Therefore, we call them away movers. They move away from our values. Therefore, first thing or the first tool is to learn how to refocus, re-engage, and pay attention better on what we were doing. And this is called as grounding. So giving full attention means to engage in something. And this, as I said, is called as grounding. So tool number one for stress control is grounding. And for grounding, you get involved into present. What you can see with your eyes, what you can hear, what you can touch, what you can taste or smell. Use all your sensations to feel that where you are and start enjoying them. Pay attention with curiosity. What is in front of you? Notice where you are, who is with you, and what are you doing. Enjoy it. If you are playing with the child, or you are studying, or you are examining a patient, or whatever you are doing, get involved into it. Connect with your body, stretch and breathing, refocus and engage with the world. This is grounding. Grounding is especially useful during stressful situations. It hardly takes 1 or 2 minutes to practice grounding. But if you start practicing it, then you will really be very happy, and it will help you a lot. What do you do to ground? Slow down and connect with your body first. Like if there is a storm, you will like to be on the ground. So grounding definitely helps you. Slow your breathing, empty your lungs completely as we do breathing exercises. Then let them refill as slowly as possible. Slowly press your foot on the floor like grounding. Slowly stretch your arms, press your hands together. Refocus on the world around you. What you are doing. You can tell the children to tell what 5 things they can see. What are 3 or 4 things they can hear? What you can smell? Touch your knee, touch the surface where you are sitting. So all these sensory organs should be very focused and doing what they, the best they can connect you to the present. And when you are connected to the present, you will automatically be disconnected by those difficult thoughts and situations. Second tool is unhooking. How you unhook. This is again very important. First, you have grounded yourself. Then you realize that you are distracted. Whenever you realize that you are distracted by a difficult thought, you first notice it, that you realize it, that I am being distracted by a particular thought. Then you silently name the difficult thought and repeat that I notice that I am being distracted by this difficult thought or fear. And when you do this, you notice it and you name it. Then you refocus it. By how do you refocus? Again, giving full attention to what you are doing. Like thoughts and feelings focus only when we are unaware of them. So by noticing and naming what we are doing, we are just making ourselves conscious that we are hooked. And as soon as we make ourselves conscious that we are hooked, it becomes easy for us to unhook. And how do we engage? By after naming and noticing them, see, smell, taste, and touch and hear, use all your senses to engage in the present to whatever you are doing. When you do this, you automatically engage. To engage is something, to give it your full attention. When you are drinking something, do you give your full attention? No. You should enjoy the smell and the taste. When you listen to something, really enjoy it. And if you can learn to be more engaged and focused, believe me, friends, you will handle the stress in a much better way. When thoughts and feelings hook you away from your or distract you, try to refocus on the drink which you are drinking or any activity which you are already doing. Feel its taste on your tongue, feel the taste on your mouth, feel that you are drinking it for the first time. Look at it with curiosity, enjoy the taste as it fades from the tongue, and pay full attention on drinking. Gulp it very slowly as it can. Feel that it is going down in your stomach. It really helps a lot on refocusing any activity which you are doing. Now, tool number 3, acting on your values. This is again very important. Choose the value whichever you feel is more important to you. Like being kind, being caring, being helpful, brave. There are so many values, 20 or 28 values are there. You can choose any 4 or 5. Then choose them and work on them and in the entire week. And what you do with your arms, what you do with your hands, legs, feet, and with mouth, every action of yours, you should ask yourself whether this action will help me to achieve or to be in line with my values or not. And even remember that the tiny action matters a lot. So these values, you should start working on them. Acting on values, really note down 3 or 4. You can also make a person in your society whom you know, decide what value of this person you like, make him ideal, try to emulate him and do that. And whenever you feel like, if you say, tell your child to tell to your uncle that thank you very much, your help really mattered me a lot. And by your help, I could achieve such a nice grade in school, or by your guidance, I could excel in the sports or anything. And feel what they feel and ask them to feel a sense of gratification, a sense of fulfillment by being kind to them. And whenever you get this, acknowledge it to yourself that I am acting on my values. Now, remember that there are 3 approaches to any difficult solution. One, you can leave the solution, leave the problem and situation itself. You can change what can be changed, accept the pain and that cannot be changed, and live by your values. Or you give up and move away from your values. But is it possible? No, it is not possible. Can you just leave the problems and burn them like a rubbish? Can you bury them? Can you block them up? No, you can't. There are many problems, like you are in a prison, you are in the examination hall or something of that sort. You can't leave it. Similarly, you cannot give up your values also. If you want to be a kind person, or if you want to be a person who is affectionate to everyone, you can't just leave your values. So what remains just is only option 2. Change what can be changed, accept the pain that cannot be changed. And believe me, friends, if there is some difficult situation and difficult stress period or phase where you think that you cannot change the situation, then just say to yourself to accept the pain. Teach this to your children, to accept the pain. But tell them that still in those difficult solutions, only one thing which can help them is to live them as per their values. Be kind to someone, and this will really help. This will really help to decrease your pain and burden. You can say it. Now, after that, coming to tool 4, being kind. Unkind thoughts are natural and may happen to anyone. Adolescents get easily affected by them. They should be advised to unhook from unkind thoughts by noticing and naming them. I am bad, I am weak, I am crazy, I did the wrong thing. Just blaming ourselves. If we blame ourselves, are we being kind to ourselves? Of course, no. We blame ourselves, then we blame others for that stressful condition. He had done this wrong, he is bad. So the idea here is to just notice that this is an unkind thought or reaction in me. Then say that I notice that I've been drifted away or I've been hooked by a difficult or unkind thought, and then again same refocus and then acknowledge. It is very rightly said that you can take one of your hand and imagine filling it with kindness. It is such a sweet tool. Imagine your hand that it is filling with kindness. Place this hand gently on any portion of your body where you feel pain. And you will be surprised to know and feel that warmth flowing from your hand, and it decreases the pain. You can try it. It really works. And this is just what we said. First, silently notice or name that here is an unkind thought or here is an harsh self-judgment. Then say to yourself, I notice there is an unkind thought. And when you notice it, you become aware of it. And when you become aware of it, this difficult thought or unkind thought, it becomes easier to unhook it. And then you use all your senses. And then you feel with gratification that, well, I've unhooked from this unkind thought. And by this, you should be kind to yourself. I'm good, I'm lovely, I'm strong. And when you do this, you will be kind to others, because any value, it starts from you. Then only you can transmit this value of your life to others. So it is really very, very important. Tool 5, making room. Again, it is very important. You feel yourself like a sky. Weather come in and go. The dreadest weather, there is a storm, hot, cold, air, rain. They come and go, but do they affect the sky? No. Similarly, you should not be affected by these difficult thoughts and feelings. They don't try to stop them. Don't try to counter them. Just don't let them come and go, as if there is a separate room for them where they can park themselves and go. So make a separate room for all these. Consider yourself as a sky, or whenever you are breathing, you can imagine that a particular portion of your body is the home of all these difficult thoughts. You can think that these difficult thoughts are in a book. You fold the book and carry the book, but they will not distract you if you are not bothering about them. So just whenever such things appear, consider yourself sky and do not let them affect you. So these were the 5 tools as per that book. And I will strongly recommend you to go through this book. It will really help you. Focus on healthy lifestyle, daily minimum 45 minutes of good physical activity. We all know that the exercise induces endorphin, which endorphins, they promote feeling of happiness and promote neuronal activity. Adequate sleep, because it generates neurotransmitters that help to deal with stress more effectively. Dietary habits, good breakfast, ensuring balanced diet, and at a minimum of caffeine and junks. Definitely avoid excess of caffeine, which you unfortunately is something which the children really are fond of, but they should avoid it. Avoid illegal drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. Role of parents and teacher. Parental support is very important. Whenever your child is in stress, tell him or her that you are there to help him. This will decrease the stress tremendously. Teaching children to become resilient is very important. Develop positive mindset and positive self-talk. Listen to them carefully. Supportive environment, encourage them to take part in sports and pro-social activities. and monitor for signs of stress, which we have discussed earlier, and if they are present, pay more attention. These are screening tools for clinicians, we all know, and there are too much of details available in all the modules. Mission Kishore Uday also, as you were discussing in the beginning, has modified version, shades, and initial bathe. These are various relaxation techniques. You can try any of them, but what I have told you, I think is a combination of all and is really useful if it's practiced. It's available on net also, and it's a publication of WHO. And this is what doing what matters in times of stress, illustrated guide. It's 134 pages illustrated guide and is really very useful. In this, you have online all these audio exercises also. Grounding exercise 1, 2, and 3, notice and name, unhooking from unkind thoughts, making room, being kind to yourself. All these are there and they are really wonderful. Listen to them and practice their use. It hardly takes any time. Further readings are there. I have consulted these. It is really very useful. WHO, doing what matters. This was the best which I liked. And thanks for listening and your patience hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bansal. That was really very, very good. And the 5 tools, I think, is not only useful for adolescents, it's useful for all of us. That is in general, like grounding, unhooking, acting on our values. We all have our values, and being kind and making room. That is, I think we all should practice that. It really benefit. And then that was an excellent talk. And I'm thankful to that. Now, if you have any questions, I think there's a question in the chat box. Sir, do we have to name and not what is causing the stress?
Pardon, sir, I couldn't hear the question.
The question is, sir, do we have to name what is causing the stress?
Yes, actually, sir, as I said, that you are always unhooked only when you are unaware of them. So when you become aware of them, for that it is important that you name that I'm being hooked by a strong or difficult feeling or thought. Then you notice, say to yourself, I notice that I'm being distracted or disturbed by this feeling or thought. That means you become aware of it. And these thoughts and feelings can only affect you adversely when you are unaware of them. But when you become aware of them, well, I am disturbed by this thought, then it becomes easier for me to keep that thought away. I mean, just don't notice it. As I said, there are several ways. You can unhook, engage in your present activities, act on your values, let them be there, make a separate room for them, and keep on doing or engaging in yourself. So I personally feel that the grounding is very essential. And for that, it is very important that you act on these tools. And if you practice them, you can really do it. Honestly speaking, I'm trying on this since last almost 2 to 3 weeks since Dr. Deepa told me. At that time, I thought of doing or studying something new in stress, because Saji sir or Tuteja sir must be knowing that my first presentation in adolescent was in 2003 or 4. And at that time, that presentation was the same, what parents should do, what teachers should do, what are different relaxation exercises. So I thought of doing something new, and in that I came across of this module. And this module was referred by Madam Bhave also in treatment protocol guidelines of Dr. Ramesh program. And I downloaded it, got it printed, and it is really wonderful. So I thought that, well, I'll make a presentation out of it. Thank you.
Somewhere that by writing down your stresses, the points, and then tearing the paper and throwing it away and say, okay, it is out of my mind.
Yeah.
That may also be of help.
Right.
Yes, any more questions? We've got a lot of compliments here. Excellent talk, wonderful, very informative. Any more questions?
Bansal sir learned quite a
Also.
lot today. It was a very informative, excellent session. Thank you for being with us today, and Shaji sir for chairing the session so well. And now I would like to, I can see many stalwarts over here. Any comments today, sir?
Yes, sir, Dr. Tuteja. Unmute. Okay.
What to say about Stalwart? He's always excellent. From last 2 decades, I am observing him. It is, I think, I am on the other end, but a young man with so much of enthusiasm and with always with the new things to AHA and to IAP. Not only in academics, but in everything related to IAP and AHA. He's the best, and nobody can be the best. He's the only best. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any more comments? Dr. Jara?
Bansal sir,
Excellent talk as usual, Dr. Bansal sir.
Thank
And
you.
as Shaji has mentioned, it is always it's applicable to us also to relieve the stress.
Yeah.
You can also practice it and show to others, the youngsters. Thank you, sir.
Yes, it was as usual, very enlightening talk from Dr. Bansal. Thank you, sir, for the new ideas on stress management.
Sir, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you. I have been there, and I do remember that night we spent together in that guest house where we went up on the hill.
Thank you, thank you.
Dr. Kamath? Vandi odichu kayilla. Your comments? You are muted.
I am driving. I have listened
Yeah.
full almost everything. It was there while I was driving. It was a wonderful. That's what even the others also have mentioned. It's a new thing which has come across, and really hats off. Something new with the message which has given now CP, which shows that he is been updated, or he is coming to the newer version of whatever he has taught earlier, or whatever perception he had earlier. He has changed into the new concept and bringing out, and this new concept is really worth appreciating and very good. Congratulations, Dr. CP, my dear friend, for really enlightening this talk. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Sure, please.
yes.
Yeah, Dr. Bansal, your messages are so clear. The clarity is amazing. And you make it sound so very easy for us to actually put it into practice. I just wanted to appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Dr. Bansal,
Sir,
I am Dr. Sawant from Durg Bhilai.
sir, Chief, I said hi to you.
Very informative and excellent. Expressed you very well. And really, we learned a lot. You are always good, but this time you are excellent. Best. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Really, sir. All the best. All greetings.
With Dr. Sawant now.
Sir.
Well, if there are no more questions or comments, I
Sir.
the mic over to Dr. Deepa.
Thank you, sir. Actually, Bansal sir's daughter was here. I think she left. Surati, extremely happy to have her also here, sir.
She's there. Actually, she is close to Kerala. Na? She is in Manipal doing her postgraduate fellowship in KMC Manipal after doing MS in Gynae from there. She is doing fellowship in urogynecology.
Nice to have her here, sir. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. A special thanks to Bansal sir for bringing up new concepts and new things in stress management. Very useful, sir. And Shaji sir for chairing the session so well. And everybody here today, sir, Jaraman sir, Kamat sir, Parvati ma'am, I think Bhagat sir was there, Satish sir, so Shimi sir, everybody for being with us here today. And anything more, Ranjit sir? You want to comment anything?
I think Satish Sharma sir want to make a comment.
Satish Sharma sir.
Good evening. Can I, in the meantime, talk?
Yes,
Sangeeta,
sure.
ma'am, please. Yeah.
Sure,
Yes,
ma'am.
Dr. Sangeeta, please.
Actually, I can't switch on my video because it is just saying that one has to make some changes in the settings. And I was, good evening all. Nice to be part of this forum. And I first of all want to congratulate IAP Kerala for coming up with this stalwarts in the adolescent health. And Kerala state has always been in the forefront, taking the adolescent health forward. And we are all in it together. And Dr. Bansal and Dr. Tuteja, along with Dr. MKC and Dr. Bhave, they have shown the way towards the adolescent health practice. And as usual, and as always, Dr. Bansal always comes up with new topics and to enlighten us. And with all his practical experience, the clear messages, which we all heard just now, definitely it will go in a long way for providing services to the adolescents and in our practice. Thank you very much, and congratulations once again to the AHA Kerala team, all of you, and giving me this opportunity to be part of this program and giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts. Thank you, Dr. Bansal.
Thank you,
Salam.
madam. Thank you so
Salam.
much. Salam to you.
So good. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And thanks to Dr. Ranjit and Dr. Deepa for arranging it so well. You know, the live behind the AHA Kerala for the last 1 year or so.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shaji sir. Thank you, CP Bansal, for the excellent session. And thank you all the stalwarts of the IHA, Tuteja sir, and Chola sir, Sangeeta ma'am, and our present AHA National President, Sugandha Chatterjee sir, also joined in between the session.
Yeah.
So thank you all the stalwarts for joining the session. And we will come out with more such session with the stalwarts all over the India. And we would like to share the thoughts from the adolescent experts. Thank you all and good night. And we would like to thank our master of ceremony, Dr. Sheda, who is doing the excellent job. And thank you, Dr. Sheda, also. So have a good day. Good night. Jai Hind, Jai AHA. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you all. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Kind
Thank you all.
regards.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.